Hey everybody, welcome to EJ's My Two Cents. So today is a little different subject matter. Today we're going to talk about health, longevity, mental and physical health, and we're going to talk about we're going to go over like some common stuff that people believe because it's what they're told, it's what you see on TV, it's what your parents tell you, blah blah blah, and your doctors, so on and so forth. And then we're going to give you the EJ version, of which could be good, could be bad, but it is what it is. It's my 2 cents. I'm out here backwards. I'm out here in the backyard, and so in my house, there's Roxy. She doesn't know how to drive an RV. And there's Bodie. Bodie knows how to drive an RV. Yeah. And you can just see right over there in the corner, there's my RV. And today is Saturday. You're watching this on Wednesday at 11 a.m. probably. I don't know. Sorry, glitch in the system. I hit the record button. So today is Saturday, and I'm leaving for Cherokee Lake to fish an FLW tour event, of which, fishing all day on a boat is actually pretty, use up quite a bit of energy, and it certainly makes you tired, but doesn't necessarily make you physically fit. So we're going to get into some of this stuff. Tell me when you're ready to go. Woo. Okay. We are ready to go. All right, I'm going to sit down to make it easier. So I'm not carrying this camera. It's not really a camera, it's my computer. It's a beautiful day, by the way. In case you're wondering, this is a shirt Christine gave me for my birthday. It's backwards, made in 1964. Built to last. That would be my birth year. So I'm 55 years old and been an athlete my whole life. I was in swimming. I was on the swim teams when I was 8 years old. Then I lived in Florida, rode BMX bikes, a little bit of swim team. Moved to New Hampshire, swim team, kayaking. And then kayaking, and then, and in my 20s, I was kayaking, 30s kayaking, 40s kayaking, 50s kayaking, woo, and fishing. All right. So let's talk about what we're talking about, longevity. So a couple things. One, you ever hear the term aging gracefully? You think I want to age gracefully? No, I'm going to go out kicking and screaming. Now, what does that mean? Now, there's a certain thing about being happy and comfortable with where you are in life, both mentally and physically, what you're capable of doing and not capable of doing. And everybody is somewhere on the scale of what they can and can't do physically and mentally as well. Now, it's all adjustable. So on the physical side, aging... The main subject matter here is going to be that most people just they get better all the way until, 28 years old or some arbitrary number that they pick as their peak. And then it's like a long, slow decline until you die. And if you take a piece of paper and you graph somebody's actual decline in their capabilities, you can probably predict their point of death pretty easy, because when you get so low, well, you're going out. You get sick more, you get broken more, you just feel like you can't do as much, and, well, you check out. And it's the same mentally also. People get at a certain point, they're in school, and they're learning, absorbing, they're all excited to get to a certain point, and then they stop challenging themselves mentally in their life, and then even worst case scenario, they retire, try to do nothing, and they immediately stop working their brain out, and they start that decline down. Now, to date, I don't know anybody that's lived forever, right? So everybody dies eventually. That's, the old saying that death and taxes are the only things that are for sure in life. So obviously, the stuff we're talking about here doesn't mean you're going to live forever or be able to do all the things you want forever. There is a certain physical inevitability. I'm trying to ignore it for now just because... well, if you believe that the death is certain, well, then obviously it is. So yeah, a little insight. Yeah, I absolutely think that, I'm going to live into my hundreds and be happy doing it. Anyway, here's some tips. that I think make a big difference. So number one, be careful of your self-talk. Everybody around you talks a certain way. Remember, 90% of people are a certain way. Um, and whether you're that way or not is up to you. 90% of people are in a herd, they're in a tribe, they're in a flock of sheep, and they're just kind of going, man. And when their friends say, oh man, I just don't recover like I used to. Man, I used to be able to work out and then recover, but man, now that I'm in my 40s, I just don't recover like I used to. Well, your little brain there is hearing this stuff, remembering it, and it will make sure that you're right. So if you're saying that to yourself, guess what? You are correct, and I would not even begin to tell you that you're not correct. However, let me lay down some groundwork. It is within you to be able to recover faster, real quickly. So here's the deal. Here's the physical deal, and I'll try to cut to the chase quick as I can. If you don't use it, you lose it. It's simple as that. If you're a runner and you just don't run for a year, you're not going to run like you did a year ago. You're going to have to start from scratch. And the further you let that go, the harder it is to get back to some high level of performance. If you're like 50 years old and never done anything in your life, you're probably not going to be able to catch up to somebody who has been doing some kind of activity or athletics their whole life, simply because they've already prepped and trained their body. Their body's ready for it, and your body hasn't. And clearly, people's bodies are more apt to be able to adapt and grow into a certain way, whether it be a power lifter or a long distance runner or a sprinter. Those types of things are easiest to do when your body's growing, and in your younger years. When you get older, completely transforming your body from one type to another, you just don't have as much experience, probably don't have as much time or as much motivation to do so, which is really what it comes down to. So this is your tips and tricks. You want to be healthy. You want to be able to be physically fit and be able to do things. You want to be able to run around with your grandkids and play tackle football when they're 18 years old, okay, and you're 70, right? And you don't want to get broken. You don't want to pull a muscle. You want to actually be able to sprint and run and not have like a little walker or something like that. What do you need to do? You need to increase your activity levels. So your activity levels and your fitness is directly related to your activity levels. It's any athlete knows that how it works. If your volume of training is twice as much, the amount of training you can handle goes up dramatically. When you don't train much, the amount of training you can handle goes down. So an athlete that takes 3 months off from training in the off season, when they come back, they have to work into it. They have to ease back into the volume of training. If they go back into the full training mode, let's say me as a kayaker, the season you usually go into the summer, and then the off season would be like August to October. October comes, you're not going to go out and do your hardest, short courses, 60-second courses, full sprinting stuff, and do lots of reps of it. Why? Because, you get tendonitis and you wreck your shoulder and pull a rib muscle. Now, is that because you got old and out of shape? No, because you had 3 months off. What if you had 3 years off? What if you had 13 years off? What if you have 30 years off? Well, guess what? You're going to have to ease into it. And easing into some kind of physical regimen is the key to, number one, not hurting yourself, and then number two, mentally being able to handle it and not getting turned off on it. As you ease in, you do a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and each one becomes easier as you get more fit, and then you're able to do it more. You're able to do it faster, harder, longer, whatever. There's an old saying, how's it go? Once you begin, the mind grows heated. Once you begin, the task will be completed. So the next thing is you got to actually get started. So if you're not doing anything right now, you need to do something. And doing something, the mind starts thinking. And then once your mind starts thinking, you'll be off and running. So back to the graph. So in my 40s. So I've been training whitewater kayaking a long time. People are like, man, how do you compete with the young kids? It's like, what are you talking about? Like, well, they're in like your 20s, you're in your 40s. Like, how do you compete with them physically? I'm like, well, because I'm stronger, faster, and have more endurance than them because I've been doing it longer. I'm confused. Now I know that it's an actual real question, and they assume that, well, that now that you're 40. But in my 40s, you put me head to head against any kayaker out there, and you do a 15-second sprint, a 30-second sprint, a 2-minute sprint, a 10-minute sprint, a 1-hour paddle. It doesn't matter what the event is. If I'm trained up at that point and it's in my season and we're all training hard, I've either probably going to win or got a good shot at winning. Doesn't matter who it is, whether they're on the Olympic team or whatever. Simply because I made that my point to be at that level of physical fitness. And what I've seen is purely out of the stuff that I'm telling you. It's purely just because I wanted to keep kayaking and compete and be competitive, not because I decided to study it. It was just like, wow, like I was told, coming off black screen of death. So my coach told me, literally, you're going to peak when you're 28. So you really got to just focus on technique and whatever, but you'll be on a declining physical capability at 28 years old. We would have meetings where the Olympic Committee, members of the Olympic Committee, it wasn't like the official Olympic Committee thing, however it probably was, but doctors, physical therapists, trainers that work for the USOC, as well as other people that were making decisions about things like, where do we do U.S. team trials? We should do it in Wausau, Wisconsin. Why? Because that's where all the juniors are. And you guys, you're like already 25, 26, 27, 28 years old. By the time the World Championships comes around, you're going to be too old, and these new juniors are going to be the top paddlers. So we should do team trials in our backyard where the juniors are. And this was like, for me, when I'm in my 20s, it's like, what? I didn't win my first World Championship, so I was 28. And my last medal in 2009, I was 45 years old when I got my last silver medal. But anyway, point is that the Olympic Committee, national teams, coaches, sport coaches, high school coaches, guidance counselors, parents, they all are following the common believed trend. So if you don't want to follow that suit, you need to first recognize it's 100% up to you to determine the graph. So for me, right now, my graph, I'm comfortable with a maintaining graph, meaning I'm really focused on my business. I'm focused on being a professional tournament fisherman. And those things, neither one of those things are good for my physical health, meaning fishing, I'm standing and I'm working, I'm burning up energy all day, but I have limited mobility in my legs. I'm not running. My calves get tight. I'm doing repetitive motion with my shoulders. So I have to come up with some ways that I can be a professional fisherman and maintain full range of motion and be physically fit. And one thing I do is I do 20 push-ups every time I catch a fish. What is that? That forces me to drop to the ground, do my push-ups. This is a completely different range of motion than what I'm doing when I'm casting. Is it everything? No, but it's something. And that's one thing I do. The next thing I do is I take inventory of where I'm at, or I should say I take a base level, minimum level I'm willing to accept. And I'll tell you my minimum level, or the worst case scenario for me physically. Rule number one, I never go over 170 pounds. 165 is like full fighting weight when I am both strong, so bulky muscles, and low body fat. If my muscles aren't super bulky, like right now, meaning I haven't been doing a lot of power stuff in my kayak, then 163, 162 pounds is kind of like where I'm at. 158 is like super fit, super low body fat, and not very strong. So I can go from 158, meaning like endurance, a lot of endurance, not really big muscles, and almost no body fat. 160, but my max 169. Hit 170, and it happens every once in a while. That means I'm fat. So like right now, how do you know when you're fat? You do this every time. This is how fat I am right now. Okay. That's about as fat as I get. So that's from a lot of beer drinking over the last few weeks, actually the last month. Fishing tournaments, come back, have a few beers, not work out, whatever, other than the minimum amount. So that's about max fat right there. So that's the most I'll let myself have on my body. Weight 169 max. Running. There's easy ways to figure out your physical being on running. Go up a flight of stairs. I need to be able to comfortably go up 3 at a time without it being a strain on my leg or overstretch on my legs. If 3 at a time, walking up, they're big steps. But when I put my foot down, if I don't just go up nicely, if I've got to go, it means my legs are getting weak. Play games. I've got an 18-hole disc golf course in my backyard. And I sprint between the baskets. Now, this is actually for physical fitness, not just a test, but it's also a good test. When I run down steep hills, if I'm worried, if my knees feel like they're going to get hurt, or I'm worried about my ankles, and my legs don't support me when I'm sprinting down the hill very well, I know my legs are getting weak. So what do? I do more disc golf. Instead of doing, a round every few days, I do a round a day. And then I sprint up the hills, I sprint down the hills, and then I get up to a couple rounds a day, 36 holes. And for the record, how long does it take to do 36 holes? Well, let's start with 18 holes. I can do 18 holes any day of the week, no matter how I play, unless I lose my disc, in under 14 minutes. And I've done it under 12 minutes. And it depends on the course, obviously, but that would be my course here. And it's actually a fairly long course. All right. So that's another key for me, by the way. And this is going kind of random. You can go in the hot tub, Casey. Casey's going in the hot tub. There's a hot tub. He's going to come. He's going to go get his swimsuit on. He normally goes naked. Nope, he's going naked. I am not going to point the camera at it. Don't worry, I won't point the camera at you, Casey. But he's get in the water. There, he's in the water. See, that's Casey in the water. You'd never know it, but he's getting a hot tub. All right. So another trick for not going down is you have to find things that you enjoy doing that are fun for you that you're not necessarily working out. Disc golf for me. I don't really mind running, and I like running. I can run, and I want to make sure I can run. So Christine, my wife, signed me up for the Marine Corps Marathon in October. That's like 5 months away. I've run one marathon, just a training one with Emily. I've run a couple half marathons, whatever. But I don't really run normally, and I haven't trained for running really in years. But I'm going to go run that. So I better train for that. Now, do I think it's going to be fun? I think it's going to be fun because I want to support Christine, but would I sign myself up for it? No, probably not. All right, so disc golf is fun. So I can play a round of disc golf in under 14 minutes. During my work, and in that little one round of disc golf, I'm pushing the limits of my body, meaning I'm sprinting. I'm not jogging. I'm sprinting up the hill to the basket. It's a short little wind sprint, and then I'm throwing, and then I'm sprinting down the hill, and then I'm jumping over the fence. That action of pushing your body to the max is what assures that you have that max there. If you push your body to a full sprint, and a full sprint is different for different people, like Usain Bolt's full sprint, I can't run that fast, obviously. So I'm not going as fast as he is. My strides are shorter, the speed is shorter, my legs aren't as strong. So in that, I don't have the physical capabilities of Usain Bolt. I'm also a lot shorter and blah, blah, blah. Fast twitch muscles, slow twitch muscles. But anyway, the point is when you push yourself as fast as you can, you're pushing your body, and your body will respond and be like, oh my God, I forgot about that. I got to be able to do that. If you don't do that and you only operate like slow endurance and do some jogging, your body will only respond and be ready for that. And then when you're ready for the sprint, it's less than it was before. 5 years from now, less. There goes your downward graph. So you have to have certain things. For me, it's weight, sprint speed, paddle speed. Those are weightlifting. Those are the basic things that are my benchmark to make sure that I haven't gone down. So sprint speed, literally just map out a spot, and if you haven't sprinted in a long time, work into it. jog it a little faster, a little faster, a little faster, a little faster. If you feel like you're not going to wreck yourself, you're not going to destroy your knees, your ankles, shins, or whatever, a little faster than full speed, and see what that is. You can ramp that up and get back to where, is that what it was when you're 18, 25, whatever? If it's not, you can get that back. The way I get it back is I play disc golf. Pretty cool. Weightlifting, I've got a very good benchmarks. So I've got bench press, chin-ups, and dips. That's all I really care about it. Now, yeah, I do other stuff, but those three things determine where I am physically. So bench press, I need to be able to start off with 135 pounds, 10 reps, then 10 pounds, 55 pounds, 10 reps, and then 175 pounds, 10 reps. If I can do that, then I'm rocking. If I can't do 175 pounds, 10 reps, then I've lost a lot of strength. Right now, guess what? I can't do 170. I can do 175, 10 reps if I really push it. But that's, for me, this is without a spot, by myself, not worried about destroying myself. I can do 165, no problem. 170, probably 175, only if I really push it with a spotter. Right now, I'm down. I've declined on my bench press. Consequently, got to do more bench press, more push-ups. Now, the push-ups are really helping, believe it or not. Dips, sets of 20 dips without a problem. And I can do a lot more than 20, but the way they feel, I know what they felt like. I used to do sets of 50 training, like 93 for slalom, and I only picked that year out because I was doing full-on weights that year. And I remember what it was like. I was doing sets of 20 chin-ups. Now I can only do sets of 10 chin-ups. Yeah, can I do 20 chin-ups? Yes. But I used to do 5 sets of 20, 20 behind my back, 20 in the front, 20 reverse, and keep doing our 6 sets. Right now I can't do that. And I've accepted the fact that I'm doing, and can I get to that? I can. But I'm maintaining at a level of being able to do sets of 10. And I'm aware of that. And I'm aware of the fact that instead of feeling like I can compete in the world's fittest man competition, I can only do what I can do. But it's something that I voluntarily decided, and for the last 15 years I haven't gone down any. It's I've maintained the same. And 10 years from now, 15 years from now, will I have gone down any? No. Why? Because it's completely within my power to do more. If I want to do 5 sets of 20, I can. I just got to go down and start doing more chin-ups, that's all. Mental side, remember the same thing. You've got to have something you're really striving for. You go to work, your work is a certain type of mental, and it might be super rewarding and super taxing mentally. You have to really think of hard things and whatever, do certain things. But you need to also have something that you have to learn, have to strive for, that's a little bit out of the ordinary, and it can be anything. So like when I was whitewater kayaking, I got to the point where I'm an athlete, and I'm a well-paid athlete, got my 2 kids, traveling on an RV, but I didn't have my business at that point, and mentally, I wasn't being taxed to the level. I was actually getting bored a little bit mentally. Like, I've already got the training figured out for kayaking. What about mentally? I needed something more. I started Jackson Kayak, and that's providing a lot of mental stimulation. Basically, there's plenty of times I'm overwhelmed. I don't know all the answers. Got to research. Got to talk to other people. Input. Got to separate what people are saying, even though they think it's a fact, and this is the way it is. Because 90% of that's not true. 90% of everything we know, that I know, and that you know, is bullshit. It's just popular tripe regurgitated. 20 years from now, you'll have you might die with his perspective, and I might die with my perspective, but most things are regurgitated, is accepted as the truth. The reality is the people that make changes and reinvent the world and do things different and create new and amazing things are the ones that call BS on everything everybody else is saying and come up with something new out of it that nobody thought of. Anyway, that's very helpful. So the business is really helpful. My pro fishing is really helping. On tour, there's so much knowledge, so much information to try to do at each lake, and the water temperatures and lures and your tackle and the fish on a spawn and spotted bass and largemouth and smallmouth, all these things coming together, trying to trying to not only just be able to go and fish, but be able to do it better than anybody in the world. That mentally is using all new parts of my brain. So anyway, my brain is not crashing and burning because of it. You're using your creativity and trying to come up with new ideas as well as learn existing stuff. So those are the two things that I suggest if you want to be as healthy as you can mentally and physically. So number one, bullshit. There is no downward graph. Wherever you are, at whatever age, as long as you ease into it so you don't hurt yourself physically, ease into it, you can create the graph upwards. So if you're like me, I'm 55 years old. If you're 55 and when you're 65, you want to be able to kick your 55-year-old's version of yourself's ass, well, you can do it. You just got to go. So ease in, increase volume, and then you need some high-intensity stuff. Remember, the high-intensity stuff is the stuff that determines your max level. So if you don't go to the max, you don't push your max level up. So that is a sprint. That's as many push-ups as you can do. That's lifting more weight. That's full-speed paddling, stuff like that. Mentally, same thing. Increase your thought process on stuff that you don't know about versus stuff that you know about. If you're always running over the same old ground and you're not challenging yourself mentally, well, guess what? Your brain doesn't need to have all that capacity. Hey, they just start, it's kind of like my computer screen just went black because of lack of activity. No, that's the way your brain is going to work too. Anyway, true or false, you should look into everything I'm saying and consider it. And consider where it's coming from and whether it's obviously working for me, but also everything that you hear and see and that is out there, question everything. Everything's on the table because everything's on the table because we are evolving. If you did the 1800s, this is 1750 or whatever, I'd be dead already, basically. Anyway. Just my 2 cents. We'll see you Friday for some fishing stuff.